Hello everyone, my name is Josh Diaz, and when I look for an external filter system for my camera, I look for a couple different things. I look for something that's high quality, offers good value, and also is really easy to use. And I think I might have just found all three of those things in K&F's new filter system. This is the K&F Square Filter Holder System Pro Kit. On paper, it's a robust system that allows you to mount all sorts of different filters onto the outside of your camera lens, but is it worth your money? Let's discuss. Now, if you've ever shopped for budget camera gear, you'll find K&F is a pretty familiar name. K&F Concepts, short for Kentfaith, is a bastion of entry-level photography and camera gear. And their biggest product stack, what they're primarily known for, is their glass. They sell a wide variety of filters, everything from circular polarizers to NDs to grads to mist filters. They really sell a little bit of everything. But the product that we're reviewing today is their flagship filter holder system, which also comes with a variety of ND filters and a circular polarizer to get you started. The kit, direct from K&F Concepts, cost a little over $200 USD, and we're going to run some tests to see if it's worth your money. Let's first talk about what's in the box. So when you buy the K&F Square Filter Holder System Pro Kit, it comes in a nicely padded display box, which looks pretty elevated. Inside that box, you'll find a nice leather carrying case with a ring on the back to attach it to a belt or a backpack. Nice touch, K&F. The material that makes the case itself, the leather, is a bit more rigid than a typical filter holder case, but it adds to the presentation and the entire thing stands up by itself, which is nice. Open the box and you'll find several compartments made of felt-lined interior dividers, which are very soft. In the front pouch, you'll find the filter holding mechanism as well as your adapter rings. These cover lenses from 67mm to 82mm in filter thread. Behind that, we have a slot for our circular polarizer. This is a special 95mm circular polarizing filter that has been geared on the outside to work with the gears on the main mechanism. More on that later. Then behind that, we have 4 slots containing our 3 square ND filters. The Square Filter Holder System Pro Kit comes with one ND1000, one ND64, and one ND8. But you can also get a wide variety of other ND filters, grads, diffusion filters, a lot of extra glass that K&F Concepts sells on their site. This is just what they sell you to get going. So let's get all this working. Installation of the Square Filter Holder System Pro Kit is pretty simple. First, you find the adapter ring that works with the front of your lens. For me, on this G Master 50 f1.4, it's 67mm. You screw your adapter onto the front of your lens until it's hand tight, and then you take your filter system and attach it onto the adapter ring. The system then locks to the ring adapter with the use of a spring-loaded piece of metal that clamps onto the ring on the front of your lens. Then you simply turn the knob to tighten it down. Overall, I like the execution of this system. It's very solid and easy to use. From there, mounting the ND filters is as easy as sliding them into the pressure fit grooves on the sides of the system. There are 2 layers of grooves on the system, so you're able to stack up to 2 filters plus a circular polarizer. Now, talking about the circular polarizer, mounting that is a bit different than the ND filters. Mounting the circular polarizer is a completely different process that involves pulling back on this lever arm and placing the geared filter inside, and then closing the lever. This all happens in one motion and locks with a satisfying click. The circular polarizer is adjusted using the gear along the side, and this system is very intuitive. I really like it. But what's the whole system like to use? Well, let's run it through some tests. It actually all comes together pretty nicely. The kit feels robust, but it's also lightweight enough not to become annoying on the end of a medium weight lens. The filters slide in and out relatively easily, but also feel secure inside the holder. Like, seriously, they're not going anywhere. Regular testing consisted of a Sony a7S III with a 50mm lens pointed at a color card in direct sunlight at about midday. I then went through each filter, plus the polarizer, to determine if they were indeed working as advertised. I then compared the results to a top-of-the-line variable ND filter from a major brand which cost 1.5 times times more than the K&F kit just for the variable ND filter. So already, if the K&F filters can perform as advertised, then it's a pretty good value proposition in terms of what you're getting. Now, if you've ever used a cheap ND filter before, you'll know that they can often introduce negative characteristics into your image, like a softer image overall, or maybe they introduce a color shift that changes the overall white balance of your image. While I'm happy to report that all of the K&F ND filters performed accurate to their ratings, while also not introducing any noticeable color shift when compared to our control filter and maintaining an overall sharp image. Subjectively speaking, they looked just as good as the expensive filter, and all the NDs performed within spec. So the ND8 blocked 3 stops of light, the ND64 blocked 6, and the ND1000 blocked 10 stops of light. It's a very dark filter. The circular polarizer also worked as expected in knocking out reflections, but you'll have to take my word for it because the only footage I recorded was of the color chart going back and forth. So you might be able to see a little bit, but the circular polarizer did perform as advertised. Next, I tested the glare rejection of the filters by pointing a pen light down, in, and around the barrel of the lens while the filters were installed and with the filters removed. Over the course of the test, I noticed no real change between the color and flare characteristics of the camera with the filter on versus the filter off, so you should be able to work confidently knowing these filters will not introduce any new glare to your photos. Overall, in my testing, I found that they kept contrast quite well. Finally, the ND filters have a water-resistant coating that helps keep them clear during periods of light rain and humidity. So what's the verdict, right? We have a well-performing filter system from K&F for photographers and videographers alike that's supported by a robust ecosystem of additional glass that you can purchase on their website, all at a price that's less than a mainstream brand's variable ND filter. So what's the catch? Well, for starters, a filter system like this with solid NDs is objectively more tedious to use than a variable ND system, where you just turn it and it works. In theory, those variable NDs will introduce imperfections not present in the solid NDs, like X forming in the shadows and also some funky stuff with reflections, but in practice, it could be relatively minor if you're purchasing high-quality glass. But all that is inherent to the style of the product. Personally, I really like externally mounted NDs when an internal ND isn't present. So I would say my first real critique of the product is that the step rings, the rings that attach it to the front of the lens, only go down to 67 millimeters when there are lenses that get much smaller than that. So if you are considering purchasing this product, determine what lenses you need to use it on, and if you're using a smaller lens, that's going to be an additional purchase. K&F Concepts does sell step-down rings that are smaller, but they're not included in the Pro kit. Now, Pro lenses, Pro quotes, are usually bigger, so this shouldn't be an issue for most, but if you are someone shooting on a smaller lens, know that there is an additional purchase involved. My next critique would be of the frames on the outside of the ND filters themselves. These filters have a plastic frame around the edge, which K&F says is removable, but in practice it's pretty weak, being held together by a flimsy plastic set of hooks that bend when you put pressure on them. The outside frame in general is made of really soft plastic, and while you can safely take it off and then put it back on repeatedly, I would advise keeping the frames together as much as possible to avoid premature wear. On a side note, and I really appreciate this from K&F Concepts, you can buy the frames separately without the filters inside them, and because they use a ubiquitous standard of photography glass, the 100 by 100 millimeter square, you can use other branded glass, in theory, with this system. Now, I haven't tried that specifically, but if you wanted to purchase like a Nizzy or a newer filter that's 100 by 100, in theory, you can use the K&F frames to put it in this system, which I really like. On this channel, we do not like proprietary gatekeeping of certain products, and the fact that you could potentially use this filter system with other branded filters, I think is a positive and something to be said. It's a step in the right direction for this product. Now we move on to my biggest critique, which is not specifically a critique of this product, but more just the generic size of these filters. Now again, K&F for this system and for most of their glass uses the standard 100 by 100 millimeter, which is great for these types of outside lens and photography applications. But when I took the filter out of its holder, I tried to put the ND filter without the frame into a standard size matte box, which is a 5.6 by 4 inch filter holder. But unfortunately, 100 millimeters in inches is just barely shy of 4 inches, so it did not fit in the matte box. These filters and filters of this size aren't really as usable outside of the system into video-centric products like matte boxes. But again, that's not a critique of K&F. That's more just a generalist critique of the whole photography glass ecosystem from the point of view of someone who primarily shoots video. But that's really it. I enjoyed working with this product and shooting some photos with it. I enjoyed testing them, and the kit itself is pretty damn good. This kit is economical, high performing, and comes with everything you need to start shooting with NDs and a circular polarizer. It also offers a high ceiling of growth should you want to move into more complex filters, grads, mists, and other types when you become more experienced with the external filter system. So I think there's a lot of value here, potentially class leading, and I really enjoyed working with the K&F Filter Holder System Pro Kit. But that's my review. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about this product or products that I've reviewed in the past, please leave them down below. Thank you very much. I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you all soon.